Today on Reese Dixon, we are making this quilled art masterpiece. Hi everybody, it's Teresa with ReeseDixon.com. I have got the coolest project for you today. Today I am going to teach you how to make some quilled artwork. Quilling is basically a craft that involves rolling up little strips of paper. You get little strips of paper like this, and they come in different widths, and then you roll them up and make little masterpieces. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second, but what you're going to need is some kind of a frame. Because the quilling is three-dimensional, I like to use a shadow box frame like this. So there's no glass or anything, but because it goes back deep, you'll have plenty of room to build up your quilling design and not have a frame or glass crush it. So I like this one. And then you'll need some quilling tools. I got this great kit from Reese, where I get all my craft supplies, and it comes with different sizes of quilling tools, which are basically just like this little tool that you hold in your hand, and it's got like a little easy to grip spot, and this part has a notch in the end of it that you can take a piece of paper and fit in there, and then you just roll it up. The other end of this tool has a little needle on it, and that helps to get either a really fine roll or to kind of prod your pieces or stretch them out however you need to as you're arranging your design. So the different shapes you make are basically all based on rolling up, and the thing that differs is how much paper you roll up makes it bigger or smaller, and the width of the paper you use makes it taller or shorter. And then there's several different ways that you can do this, but I'll show you in more detail close up. But the basic idea is if you take it off the tool, it unravels, and you can stretch that out if you want to get like this really cool twisted design. Like here's one I did that I'll be using in a second, and you get all those beautiful loops, and so you can add all of these pieces together and make this beautiful scrolly piece of artwork. On my blog, I have a snowflake ornament that I made using quilling, and it's the most popular thing I've ever done, hands down. So I love it. Oh, so another thing I have in here is tweezers. That helps as you're working with little pieces. And this is cool. This is a special little ruler so that you can get your circles exactly the size you want them to be. And there's a couple other tools in here too that I won't be using today, but this is the best. It's just a little glue applicator, but it's super fine tipped. So you can get just the tiniest bit of glue just where you want it, and avoid a lot of mess. So let me get you close up. Well, first, the first thing I'm going to do before I start quilling is I'm going to paint this. So I'm going to make the inside of this kind of a pretty gray blue, and then the outside I'm just going to paint black so that it'll fit with the rest of what I've got going on in my room. And then I will start the quilling. So I'm going to paint this, and then while that's drying, I'll get the camera set up so I can show you close up how we're going to make a quilled masterpiece. Nearly all of your quilling shapes go back to just a plain circle. So I'm going to put it in the slot of my tool like this, and if you don't have a tool, you can use a toothpick, but you'll get such better results with a tool. And just wrap it right up. You can stop, you can make your shapes as big or small as you want, just depending on how much you roll up. So if I wanted that, I'd just tear it right off. You never cut in quilling, just tear, because that provides a smoother edge, believe it or not. It can blend in easier than a crisp cut. So I'm going to roll up this entire piece, and if I wanted to use this as what they call a tight closed circle, which is just basically this shape right here, then I just glue it right down. But I don't want to use it that way today. I use that for most of my flower centers, and this can be a cute way to just do little dots and things. But I'm going to take that off my tool and then just drop it on the table, and it starts to unwind. Now, if you want a loose circle, then you can just take it from here and glue that edge down. And with your loose circle, you can make 1.5 million shapes. Here's a flower that I made with a tight circle and then a whole bunch of loose circles that I just pinched the edges of. So let me show you how we do that. Here's a loose circle that I've glued the edges of, and there's my torn and glued end. So I like to make that into the point wherever possible so that that just helps to hide it even better. So if I want to make a teardrop shape, which is really useful for petals and leaves, I just pinch one end. If I wanted to make a marquee shape, you pinch both ends. And with just that pinching, you can make squares and triangles and free-form shapes and whatever your little heart can imagine. And the fun thing about doing flowers is that you can use any shape to make a flower, you just have to repeat it. So going back to this loose circle that I haven't glued yet, if you leave that open, you can make it be a scroll or a vine. So in my case, I'm gonna start to pull it open, and I still have that beautiful, elegant curve to it because that's how the fiber of the paper has been shaped. But as I pull it open, you get more space around it. So now you can use it as, you know, like I said, a vine. You can curve it around. It can go in between your flowers. You can do whatever you want. So those are the basic ideas. And with those simple tools, you can do unlimited things. Here's my frame now that I've got it all painted out. And the design that I want to make is going to be using a negative space. So a space that I leave blank, which is going to be in the shape of a heart, that all the quilling comes around and kind of forms. So to make that, I've just got a piece of heavy paper. This is watercolor paper in my case, and I cut it into this shape I wanted to remain blank. You can do amazing stuff with this technique, like words and symbols and whatever you can imagine. So I've got my little heart, and I've put little stickers, a little double-sided tape on the back to keep it in place without making it permanent. So I'm gonna put this right in the middle where I want my shape to remain blank. Stay down, but not for good, so just like that. Okay, and then now I'm gonna take my glue and basically paint this whole rest of it so that I can start putting flowers, putting all of my shapes in here and just build and build and build as I go. I've already made some flowers like I showed you, so I'll just kind of put those right up next to my heart here and start to build that shape with lots of little leaves to take up any other space like that, and then I can use this vine to kind of curl in, but that'll kind of be a finishing touch. So I'm going to start painting with glue, and then, get my hair out of the way, paint this all with glue, and then I'll just let you watch me build it as I go. So let me show you how you put these flowers together. Let's say I've made a whole bunch of these loose circles, and I'll need something to be my center. I'll take, there we go, this is actually a loose circle, but it's much smaller, so that'll work. Tight circles are my favorite for this. And you'll bend your flowers into whatever shape you want for your petals. Here I'm going to make it simple and just make a teardrop shape. And then you'll just need to glue all of your pieces together. This is where a small little applicator like this comes in so handy, because you can just get the glue exactly on that very tip and stick it right to that little circle. So then I'll bring in more, and depending on how big your center is will determine the size of, or the number of petals that you'll need. So I'm going to put a little bit more glue here where it's going to touch the center, and then right about here where it's going to touch the petal next to it. So it's not quite at the center point, but nearly, just as it flares out like that. If you're struggling to keep all of your pieces together where you want them as you're building these flowers, you can use pins and some kind of a fabric covered board or styrofoam board or just a foam, seat cushion even, anything that the pins will go into, and use the pins to kind of hold everything in place while you're working. But after you do a few of these, you'll be a pro. There we go. There's our flower. And the great thing about doing these petals, or I guess building flowers, is flowers look like anything and everything you can come up with. So you could take a little petal and bend it every which way you can think up. Like even bend it like that weird shape. In quilling, we just call this a free-form shape, but you make 5 or 6 of these and it's a petal and you can make it into a flower. So making this kind of floral arrangement is really fun with quilling because you just keep combining different sizes, different shapes, different colors, and the possibilities are endless. So you just make a whole bunch of your flowers, make a whole bunch of your leaves, and then you can start building. I had the best time making this, and I love how it turned out. It was a little bit like when I was a kid and I would play like Legos or tangrams or something, just making up shapes out of other shapes. It was just simple and fun, and because they're flowers, you can do no wrong. Any combination of colors and sizes and petals will work. So you just get to play, and then as you glue it on, you just build and build and build, and it makes this beautiful piece of art. So when I was done, I just took that middle piece of paper that was kind of holding that space, I just pulled that out and it's done. And I love how I came up on the sides because it's like this little love is making all of this bloom just abundantly. I love the message of it. I think it's so beautiful and I had a blast. So it's like the perfect art. So I hope that this is inspiring to you to give quilling a try. You'd be amazed what you can make once you start putting pieces together. And if you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll help you out. Subscribe to the channel for lots more ideas. I think I'll probably have to do more quilling because this was just too much fun. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye!